Good evening, everyone. It's great to be out here. It's going to be an exciting evening. It's one of my true passions in life is working with startups. And what's great about this audience is really we're bringing together a unique kind of group of people in a unique community. Because in this room, we have startups already. Many of the companies that are here that make this event possible as sponsors are startups themselves. You combine that with agencies where, let's face it, many times in the agency life, we are acting like a startup, trying to win new business, trying to move fast, trying to apply that. And then we have amazing brands in the audience. And brands often are taking the principles of startups and applying them to their life of how do you grow innovation, how do you grow the top line, how do you grow the bottom line. So today, what I want you to kind of take away is a call to action as we think about these startups. The 9 companies here are all over the map in terms of where they're at in their lives. We have some companies that literally 12 weeks ago were just an idea and have made amazing progress since then. And we have some companies that have raised venture capital money from some of the best VC firms out there. But the one thing they all share in common is a goal to change the landscape when it comes to digital marketing and innovation in the industry that we all make our money off of. And our job after these presentations is to think how we can help them. How can all of our brands, all of our agencies partner with these companies and help them really change the landscape of what we're doing and how we're progressing in this business? These companies, they're going to be here afterwards. They're going to be staying for drinks, staying for cocktails. And I'd really encourage all of you to take the time to meet with them, to talk with them, and learn what they have going on and see how you can help them. Because personally, I can tell you there's nothing more fulfilling than helping a startup reach their goals and reach their dreams. And so help that. With that, just a couple of things keep in mind. When you think about the world of startups, all of us in the worlds of brand marketing, we have to figure out how to work better with startups. This is something when I was at Procter & Gamble for about 8 years, and it was amazing how tough it was for startups to break through. How tough it was for them to get on somebody's radar, get on their attention, and really talk to people that were making meaningful difference in the business. And it's a disservice that, frankly, we all do in our agency life and our brand life of not paying enough attention to startups and helping people out. So step number 1 that I'd really encourage all of you, today and after this, help a startup out. If you have a chance that somebody's pitching you, wants to do a meeting, grab 15 minutes or 30 minutes and have a cup of coffee with them. You have no idea how much your input and the years of wisdom that you have about our industry can actually shape their business. Because frankly, it's too late once they're at 2 million, 3 million users. They've got their business model. They know where they're going. At that early stage, you can help shape what's going to be meaningful for our business and where they really can go and where they can shape. So that's kind of the first call to action. The second call to action is place some bets out there. Place some smart bets to help these startups figure out where things are going. Because the great thing at this early stage, you can use test and learn dollars and do some really, really neat experiments and things that can really make a meaningful difference on your business to shape where things are going. And the thing is, they can give you a competitive advantage. If you think back, PepsiCo gets a lot of praise for their PepsiCo 10 program. And they get a lot of praise for some of the first partnerships they ever did with Foursquare when they sponsored the PepsiCo New York leaderboard for Foursquare. The thing is, that cemented an amazing lead for them, that by partnering it with an early stage startup when they had like 500,000 users, they've established themselves. And they were able to figure out location-based services ahead of the curve and ahead of their competition. So there's a lot of opportunities here for working with these startups. So with that said, I want to make the show be about these companies. We have 9 great companies in 3 amazing categories. Those categories, to introduce them, the first one is going to be brand engagement and awareness. How can brands stop just shouting to companies or shouting to consumers, but actually engaging with them and interacting with them? The second is going to be digital commerce and digital signage. How are things changing in terms of how we get information to consumers and how they shop online with subscription and other services? And the final one is going to be shopper marketing. How is brick and mortar retail being transformed by digital startups out there? So we have 9 great companies. Really should be interesting. Looking forward to seeing where things go with this one. And it's an experiment. So hopefully it's an experiment that goes well. So with that, we're going to start off with our first category. And I will be calling to stage our first company, which is Get This.
Imagine being able to shop your favorite TV show or movie without any interruption, with a seamless cart at the end of your experience. Sound familiar? It used to be called, 15 years ago, it was interactive television. The promise of interactive television kind of fell flat, partially because of these issues. Too many different set-top boxes, too many different operating systems. And then that thing, the remote control, kludgy overlays. But then recently, we saw further proof that audiences really did want to engage. The convergence of internet and TV and mobile, yet the promise of seeing something on television, being able to buy it seamlessly, didn't happen. Until now. So get this is the first application and platform, really, a commerce platform that truly shop enables all forms of visual entertainment, from TV shows, Blu-rays to DVDs, leveraging existing devices that consumers use daily. And the value proposition for brands and advertisers is that we don't keep inventory. This empowers brands to have a relationship and sell direct lifestyle products, home products, consumer electronics, guitars, headphones, you name it, anything that you may see on a show, with an unprecedented level of performance metrics. When we started this off, it was very important for us to have a few different business rules. One of them was the consumer value proposition. It needed to be aspirational yet affordable. So we don't only break down those things that are originally seen on shows, but we provide people with the stylist pick or the affordable version. Also, it needed to be a very different personalized shopping experience. A broad range of products with the ability to shop and browse, with the ability to tag your favorites, and one of my favorite things, with the ability to encourage people and provide points and value for sharing things and for buying. So we have an amazing loyalty point system that's been actually engineered into the product as well. We have offline discounts, and again, performance metrics that have never been available. Usually at this point I would give you all iPads and show you the product, but since I'm not able to do that, I'll take you through. There are 3 ways to shop. You can watch and shop, so simultaneous viewing, in which you'll see all of the products be served up as you're viewing. If you're not watching at the moment, but you saw someone on Facebook tell you about a great pair of shoes that they saw on Glee, or a jacket on Pretty Little Liars, and if you're not watching that show, you can actually go in and still shop it. And we have all kinds of things for ratings acceleration, that if you're watching at the time that the show is on, you'll get double points. Or you can just shop by category. So now if we would have clicked on that upper version, it will now not only find the show that you're watching, but it'll also continue to sync you through the entire experience. And this is our main stage. Here we provide you the ability to essentially do 2 things. Either get this or share this. Each time you share, you get points. Most consumers we have found really don't want to do much more than this while they're viewing. If they want to, they can click on the item and it will bring up this overlay of a product detail page. A lot of the research has shown, though, with second screen environments, that people really don't do that until the commercial or at the end of the project, at the end of the program. You can check your card out at any time. It's more than just fashion. Fashion is just low-hanging fruit. It's the things that you don't see. It's beauty items. It's home goods. We're working right now on bringing back kind of favorite things and next-generation shopping environments. You can shop by category. You can shop by character. You can shop by stylist. And it's really about true engagement. We've engineered so much virility and social sharing into this that it really creates a new level of engagement for brands. So my Fast 5, because I've got 1:22. What does it mean for you? It means a couple things. There are platform-wide sponsorship opportunities for a very limited group of brands, things like financial services, credit card companies, contextually relevant sponsors that might be able to provide some added value to our audience, CE, mobile carriers, beverage companies, and more. Lead generation for product placement. We're working with some opportunities with cooking shows. Impulse-driven commerce does not apply to a Viking stove, but we can provide lead generation within the platform as well. Shop and shops. For certain brands, it really makes sense to be able to provide them with shops. Shop enabling national commercials. Once they're already watching the show, it makes sense for them to move on. Lots of consumer data. I am running out of time. I thank you so much for the 5 minutes you have given me.
Thank you much. And next up is Top Voice.
Good night, everyone. I'm Lynn Touzignan, the CEO and founder of Top Voice, a social loyalty platform. So Top Voice, we allow you customers to share recommendations about favorite brands and products while we measure their influence for your specific brand. So you use a lot of tools to reach your target customers, and many of them are social because you hope to increase and boost your earned media, because at the end of the day, we know that the consumer is the brand. So for instance, meet Laurie. She is 23. From LA, apparently she likes blue. And she also likes a lot of brands and products. And her voice is your earned media. She works for you. She is influential. But don't take me wrong. Influence here is not about being popular. It is about trust. And Laurie, her friends think she's cool and they follow her lead. So in a way, we can say that she is your maybe best brand managers. And we think that you should say thank you. And with Top Voice and the Wall of Fame, you can say thank you. You can make Laurie your voice star and reward her with exclusive rewards. We think that you should also make her a star to her network so that she can also share those rewards with her friends. It can be anything, really, it's up to you. It can be information before everybody else, access to a sale, it's up to you. The Wall of Fame can be embedded on your fan pages, or it can be on your website. It is totally customizable. Your fans can track their influence ranking for your brand from that Wall of Fame, so they know if they are getting close to access those exclusive rewards. And of course, your top voices will come and go, but what is important is that you will be able to reach them and to reward them at the right moment when they are spreading the word for you. So it's pretty easy for users to participate to that. They register with Top Voice and then they go back to their everyday activities and we track their influence for your brand. But there is also a possibility for more engagement on their part. And here Laurie, for example, she builds a collection of favorite brands and products. It can even be ads. Her friends can access her recommendations at any time. They can even shop from her profile. So it means thousands and thousands of profiles that are becoming mini stores for you. So Laurie, she now has a tool where she can find trusted recommendations, where she can get rewarded for her word-of-mouth influence, and you have a tool to identify your most valuable fans. We say that we measure influence. We have different metrics that we use. Of course, reach is there, but it's not the most important because we want to measure their influence within their network. So engagement, direct influence, very important, and also brand profile affinity. Why? Because we don't want to see as at the top of your influencers people that don't fit your target. I think it is very important if you think, for example, I can be talking about luxury cars a lot, but maybe I'm 16 years old and I cannot afford it. So it's important to have the right people. With Top Voice, you will access a lot of very rich aggregate data about consumers' behaviors and preferences. And you can also, upon their permission, you can really have a direct communication with your best ambassadors. And from there, you can, it's really up to you to build on those relationships. For example, you could offer them to trade their influence score for your loyalty points if you have a loyalty program. There are many, many possibilities. So to summarize, Top Voice, we create an energizing, measurable, and never-ending loop of influence. We bring together basically social media and loyalty programs because we think that loyalty is not only about repeatedly buying your products, it is also about your customers' propensity to recommend them. So we are a social loyalty platform, and I think eventually a long tail of trust. Thank you.
And now our final company in the brand engagement, Vide.
How's it going? My name's Evan White. I'm the CMO of Vide. We're an iPhone app. So first, the vision of Vide. We'd like to entertain and connect people around empowering them to create and upload beautiful video. The product is a social mobile video application. If you're familiar with Instagram, that's us, but we do it for video. We're like Twitter, iMovie, and YouTube combined. The problem that we found early on was that mobile video, it doesn't look very good. Usually there's wind, it's not good. It's difficult to take the time to edit that video, and it's a pain to transfer the video from device to device. Sharing options are limited, and you don't get the recognition from the friends and family that you want to share that video with. So we imagined a better way to have this experience mobily. You can instantly create visually stunning content, one-click sharing, and real-time discovery. So first you capture the video. Use your iPhone 4S, iPad 2, and iPod Touch. It's either camera, so either front-facing or finding the beautiful things that you see in life. And then you can choose the video. So if you have the video in your phone already, you can grab that as well. Trim it down to 15 seconds, and we also have both. So you can, no matter how you turn your phone, we'll display it pretty. This is really the cream here. This is when you produce the video. It's a production pack. This is what we sell. We have a dozen production packs that come with the app right now. We just launched one with Snoop Dogg. So it's his beat and then a smoke effect that fills the screen. It's like hotboxing your Vide. The others that come with it are like a 3D or vintage. They also have the audio track that makes that video content really come to life. And then you share it out. The sharing happens with one click. You sync up your video with YouTube, Tumblr, Facebook. We're building out anywhere you want to share that video content to. Quickly, easily share it to the world. And discover it. So similar to Twitter, you follow people and you're followed. So no matter who you're following, you get to see their stuff. We also have a real-time feed. So the number of likes and comments that a particular video gets in 3 hours, that goes to our trending section. And then in 24 hours, that goes to our popular feed. We're building out gaming mechanics, so the more videos you upload, the higher chance you can have to get cooler production packs, free stuff. And then connect. So now that you have Vide, you want to find your friends. So you log in with your Facebook and Twitter again and pull them in. If they're already on Vide, you can quickly follow them. If they're not, you can ask. We're a free app. That's how we are right now. We're building out an iPad app that will be much more of a rich experience. That'll be a paid version, and we'll also have in-app sales of production packs. So Snoop's pack now, it's free. Anybody can have it, but he wants to do another one similar to a ringtone, charge 99 cents for. Quick overview of the company. We're only iOS right now. We launched on April 11th. Currently we have 800,000 downloads. It's actually closer to 850. We were App of the Week in May. We've had a ton of press. New York Times wrote about us 4 times last month. And KTLA is doing a big shoot called Venice. A bunch of us are there. And then we have a lot of entertainment as well. The big news that we have coming in the next few weeks, Kermit and the gang will soon be able to join you in your Vide. You'll have Gonzo and Fozzie Bear and everybody as part of a giant launch with Disney to promote the new Vide, the movie that's coming out on Thanksgiving. And to close, this is Videowood. We have a lot of celebrity adoption so far. We kind of took the Twitter model of grabbing celebrity influencers, helping them use our tool to amplify their social media. That's Vide. Thanks.
Judges, go at it.
Yeah, so overall, I think those were 3 great presentations, 3 legit business ideas, obviously. So get this. Starting with the first one, just from the American Express perspective. Do you mind standing?
Sorry, just so that the audience can see you.
You guys are obviously connecting buyers and sellers in this new medium, which is definitely something we can absolutely get behind. So I think that is a very interesting concept. I would be curious about the scale on the merchant side. So if a merchant, maybe doesn't have a placement in a show, but they still want to get involved, is that something you can facilitate? How would a small merchant get involved? Something like that. But obviously a very cool idea. For Top Voice, my one comment or question, I guess, for the general audience is, if a word of mouth recommendation is the most powerful sort of sales tool you can get, but if you know that that person is getting remunerated somehow for that recommendation, does that make it seem a little bit less authentic? So just a question and a comment.
Yes, no, I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking it's
Jeff, stand.
Oh, come on. It's your Amway friend. It's the friend that if they start doing that, you don't really want to talk to them all that often. And so that's what concerned me about that particular model. But again, like you said, it is a way to formalize a social word-of-mouth offering. And with Get This, my only concern with Get This would be, is there enough scale of things that are being offered to make it a destination point at all times, or is it too sporadic in terms of the items that are being offered and that people would want from any particular show, that it just isn't as scalable on an ongoing basis? And then I'll need your comment on the other one.
Nancy, I am standing.
No, Leonard, stand. You're not standing.
I am.
I know you well enough to know you are not
I
standing.
am standing.
Stand up, Leonard. Thank you.
I'm now on someone's shoulders, in case you're wondering. The only comment I would make, I think it's important to distinguish the difference between social and influence. Most people actually don't care what their friends think, and I happen to be one of those people, but my friends are borderline idiots. But I think we know the same people. Influence is something very different than friendship. And so you have to be very careful to navigate people who actually have influence and whose opinion actually matters in a particular category, which is not easy to do. The only thing I would say about Vide, I think you guys did a great job on understanding user interface, understanding how people like to look at stuff on a device. So it looks good and it looks slick. The only thing I would worry about a little bit is these companies tend to be kind of the pot of gold companies, where there's a lot of people in this space, and I fund a lot of companies that are very similar. So I think it'd be very important for you guys, and the production packs are a really good way to do that, to continue to distinguish the experience. Because for most people, video is somewhat of a daunting experience, even for basic stuff. So I think that's cool. You just got to be careful of, I'd be curious if this was a longer presentation about your view on the competitive landscape. But I think you guys did a great job.
Yeah, I just want to add that very quickly that with Vide, it was for this category of branding, it was the one that really, to me, exemplified everything about branding. So I think that, it was an e-commerce space, and that's fine with e-commerce, but it really extends the product. The Muppets pack is going to be phenomenal, it looks like. It really does take into account the idea of, can I make an emotional connection between the consumer and the product?
Okay, so round of applause. I mean, phenomenal first category. Phenomenal feedback from the judges for the finalists. And I'm going to pass it over to Dave now to introduce the next category and the next round of presenters. But actually, before I do that, I want to make sure that you understand that you get a chance to discuss the 3 companies that you just saw, and you get a chance to vote. And so if you take a look at the screen, we're talking about brand engagement and brand awareness. And we've got 3 companies, Get This, Top Voice, and Vide. And there are different text codes. So if there's wireless in the room. And if you have access, please vote, because this is the popular vote. And we want to hear your feedback. But in the meanwhile, we're going to give you 5 minutes to talk about who you think was really game-changing and maybe who you think missed the mark.
So now our second group of companies, we are going to start off on digital commerce and digital signage. And kicking off this group is going to be Adaptly.
Hello. It's interesting, I can't see anybody from up here. My name is Nikhil Sethi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Adaptly, and we're a media buying technology for social that's really enabling agencies and brands to reach their audiences across the social web. So as these platforms kind of emerged, they got really big really fast. They went from 0 to 10 to 50 to 100 million uniques in the blink of an eye, and essentially said, hey, we're so large now, why should we give any of our inventory away to any ad network or any exchange? Let's keep it all for ourselves. Let's have you guys, the buyers, come straight to us and buy our media the way we want you to buy our media. And essentially that kind of arose 3 layers of fragmentation. The first layer being operational. You know, to execute a campaign across Facebook and optimize it is actually very different from doing the same thing on Twitter, or doing the same thing on LinkedIn, or doing the same thing on StumbleUpon. These are very different platforms. The second layer of fragmentation is really around creative, in the sense that these platforms have kind of embodied this idea of integrated advertising, meaning the paid media assets are really correlated with some consumer action that you can do on these sites. If I can tweet or retweet or like or comment or stumble or post, the paid media unit is really designed to be associated with each of those individual actions, and you end up with wacky things like promoted tweets or promoted accounts or sponsored stories or paid stumbles, and it's just a very fragmented creative landscape as well. And then finally, probably the deepest and the most kind of disheartening is really around data. Yes, we get back the same sort of paid media metrics like clicks and impressions and click-through rate, but now we get this funky response metric stuff. How many people stumble on my ad after they interacted with it, or how many people tweeted it afterwards, or, you know, and understanding all those different layers of metrics into the same KPI that we have becomes a very fundamental problem. So take a step back and you kind of have 8 or 9 platforms in the United States, another 30 or 40 internationally, that all have completely different operational processes, completely different creative assets, and completely different sets of data that are coming back. And we really formed, and you kind of can call us a social DSP, if you will, to kind of aggregate and consolidate all of that nightmare into one sort of platform. Display is really been focused around distribution. It's always been kind of paired with these metrics of clicks and impressions and direct response metrics. In the social environment, we're really kind of seeing that shift in the terms of we have these 2 new buckets that get created, this earned media bucket and this organic media bucket. You know, every paid media dollar that's kind of spent on the paid side is influencing these 2 sides. So the metrics that are available can't apply to these sort of 3 realms. In the sense, we really need new metrics. And we're starting to see this shift that kind of goes away from these clicks and impression metrics towards these audience metrics, towards these brand metrics, towards these offline metrics, which becomes very, very fascinating as well. And finally, you know, looking through that same lens, we can't view social as this siloed entity anymore. It's really sort of, you know, it's really this 5th seat on the advertising table when you look at radio, TV, print, and digital. It is a digital channel by nature, but it's really reflected and analyzed in a very non-digital way, right? Everybody talks about the fact that we can't cookie, we can't pixel anything on a unique level in the space, but what you do have access to is a very large, almost infinite set of insight data. Right? We know almost everything from a first-party data landscape, and I'll give you an example. We ran a campaign for a beverage CPG where we were just analyzing response metrics between different demographics and their creative assets, and applied that insight, extracted it out of social, and sprinkled it onto their out-of-home campaigns to better target those. So it really is an overarching sort of element across the space. And that's really kind of where we sit, from top to bottom, from planning, execution, down to analytics and optimization, really deploying and understanding these paid media campaigns across social. Just a kind of a quick example I wanted to throw in there. We recently were approached by Arby's to kind of launch a very large campaign that they were doing around their 3,000 calorie sandwich, and did it on 5 platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, StumbleUpon, and AdMob here on the mobile side. And we're able to achieve, in just a short amount of time, about 2 weeks, a really massive amount of scale, and almost hit about 95% of their key demographics in the entire United States from an online sort of user perspective. So that's us. We're really the easiest way to advertise across the social web. Thank you.
Next on stage, Kikyo.
Thank you for having us at this exciting innovation showcase. My name's Matt Lane. I'm a board member and investor in Kikyo. I'm proud to be here on behalf of Dave Durand, our CEO and founder, who has a pretty important go-live milestone this week. He and his wife are expecting their 3rd child tomorrow. So he asked me to come here and talk to you about Kikyo. Kikyo is a place for collectors and enthusiasts to show off, discuss, and exchange products and brands that they're passionate about with friends and with those who have similar interests. A platform that is truly about connecting through collecting. So we all know that people are simply crazy about collecting. I'm sure you know someone who's fanatical about a sports team and probably has everything about that team in their basement, or someone who's into golf and collects all the latest equipment, or possibly collects antique golf equipment. In fact, Dave, our founder, has a cousin in Boston who is totally normal by day, but at night he goes home to a small apartment, and in one room that he has completely dust-proofed, he has it entirely filled with unopened Star Wars toys. I think we refer to him as the 40-year-old virgin. There's all types of collectors and enthusiasts, and has made some big online businesses, namely eBay. Sure, you can share some of those passions and obsessions on social sites, but the reality is that a lot of it is just one-off updates on Twitter and Facebook. And if you're in an online enthusiast community forum, you're really excluded or separated from the rest of the online world. So for the serious collector or brand enthusiast, the outlets to catalog, show off, discuss, and exchange under one roof are really limited. So instead of all this awesome stuff collecting dust, we decided to fix this problem, and we created Kikyo. Kikyo is a social networking platform for collectors and enthusiasts to show off their collections, because that's what collectors love to do. And then to do it in a way that's integrated with both Facebook and with existing online enthusiast forums. So you're looking at, there we go. So users can catalog a collection of anything from that golf equipment I referred to Coca-Cola collectibles and share those in groups on Kikyo. What Kikyo's done that's unique, though, is it allows brands and retailers to attach the Facebook fan page to a group created on Kikyo. So brands now have a way for their most passionate consumers to share and discuss what they own and in turn influence their friends. If you see something cool that someone has on Kikyo, you can go back and check out the rest of their collection, and you can even highlight the items that you want. So this particular example shows a group of Maker's Mark collectors, famous Kentucky bourbon, and they're sharing and exchanging collectible bottles. And they come out with a ton of them, and then they push that to the connected fan page. So the bottom line is that Kikyo, until we had Kikyo, this wasn't happening. We're really breathing life into the fan page. So you may have 1 million fans, but in all honesty, that doesn't mean that much. In fact, our friends here at iMedia just came out with an article saying how useless Facebook fans are. We feel the fans that truly matter are your brand enthusiasts, and particularly those that are collectors. And so Kikyo gives them a voice and singles out the consumers that actually matter to you and your brand. So why are we here? Look, many brands have extremely loyal followings, and some of them are here tonight. And, if you look at products that were added to eBay over the last 90 days, it'll give you some insight into this. Just in the last 90 days, EA Sports had over 10,000 items added. Oakley Sunglasses had over 160,000 items added. And Coca-Cola and Disney had multiple 100,000 items added onto eBay just in the last 90 days. So the market for these goods, as you know, is massive. So that means so is the conversation. And where is it taking place? Well, we want it to happen on Kikyo. Whoop. I think we're missing a slide. Anyway, so why is this valuable to brand marketers? Well, it's a way to identify and connect with these brand enthusiasts and still complementary to Facebook. It offers your brand enthusiasts a platform to engage with, allows you to learn more about those brand enthusiasts and what they collect, what they're interested in, and possibly ways to cultivate more of them. So if you're a brand or you work with one who has a passionate fan base, we'd love to connect with you. Kikyo's live, getting started is easy. We just recently launched and have thousands of members. So if you're interested, feel free to contact me or Dave Durand, our CEO. And please go check out Kikyo. Start showing any collections you have, even those unopened Star Wars toys. Thanks for your time.
And our final company, Tapit.
All right. Hello, everybody. I guess I'm going to go a little bit against the grain this evening. So thanks for having me this evening. My name is Giancarlo Maniaci, and I'm the CEO and founder of Tapit. We're a mobile brand performance advertising company. We serve billions of ad impressions monthly. So no matter what connotation you're going to derive from our company name, Tapit, we are, in fact, a mobile advertising company. And just like any great startup, we started out with a really brilliant, well-thought-out business plan. In fact, here's a copy of it right here. You can download it on iMedia later on for your review. As you can see, we're executing on step 2 right now. So, no, all joking aside, guys, we're often asked the question, what's our differentiation? And Besides the Speedo thongs and top hats, we really position ourselves as a brand performance mobile tech company. And being able to provide cost per action, cost per engagement billing models for brands. We focus heavily on optimization, and we've also aggregated all of our own mobile inventory, and we run real-time bidding across our own inventory. So essentially think of it as if AppNexus and iMedia got married and have a mobile love baby, and that's where Tapit comes into play. The reason why we claim brand performance is we're one of the few, if only, mobile advertising platforms that can claim, actually delivered over $250,000 in mobile brand performance on a CPA last month alone. Tapit is connected, so we make sure that you're enabled to execute across all mobile ad units, from mobile video to rich media to HTML5. We're integrated into all major supply-side inventory players, and we also aggregate thousands of our own direct publisher relationships via our own proprietary SDK. We enable DSP or buy connectivity from all of our agencies and advertisers that want to connect with us. And we have rich media and video partnerships like the Crisps and the Medialets of the world. Essentially what that means is if you want all the bells and whistles for your campaign, we can give you that, but we're going to layer on our optimization and performance enhancements on top of that. Tapit really wants to make sure that the plumbing is flowing right, so essentially you could look at us as the pipes. Media is more and more about accessibility and efficiency in buying, and we make sure that the pipes are flowing well for mobile. We enable RTV buying from an agency and advertiser perspective. We also provide you the ability to buy from your own DSP and marry your own data points or use a combination of ours. We provide complete transparency across our platforms, so you know exactly what you're buying and when you're buying, as well as all the third-party data integrations to allow for advanced targeting options. So however you want to see us, again, as a connectivity partner, we can accommodate your requests. Tapit really wants to make sure you focus on staying in the driver's seat. So black boxes are a thing of the past, as we all know, and maintaining complete control of your campaigns is a necessity of today. As an option, advertisers can leverage our white label ad server or DSP, which is completely demand-side focused as opposed to most of them out there, which are publisher focused for the mobile space, giving you guys complete control of the campaigns. Our platform has redistributable SDKs, so this enables you to aggregate your own publisher or partner inventory without being bound by a certain platform's limitation. And then lastly, we've got a full open set of APIs to enable third-party relationships depending on what the agency or advertiser is looking for. So all, again, keeping demand side in focus for our technology. And then lastly, we couldn't provide you all of this in mobile without giving you the industry's very best tools. So we've got a creative testing engine, which we call our Champion Challenger. It allows you to create and test multiple creatives and multiple landing pages and find out which ones are best performing and where they're performing and why. Map out engagement times between all of them and find out which is the best performers. Additionally, we have our engagement reporting and our engagement and action target optimizer. So if you're looking to optimize towards a certain cost per engagement or cost per view or cost per action for your brand, this will enable you to back into those metrics. And then lastly, we have got a mobile optimized creative and landing page creation tool. So we find oftentimes where an agency or an advertiser isn't well equipped yet to jump into mobile, where we've got a dynamic drag and drop API integration tool to wire up rich media landing pages into a user's experience. So hopefully this allows anyone to forget the stigma about performance and know that they've got the tools to drive actionable and results for their media spend. So we're here because of you guys, so we thank you for voting for us here, and we look forward to speaking to you after the show. Thank you.
Thank you much. Time for our judges.
Sure. I'll go.
Good.
Look, I don't have a ton to add. I thought the first Adaptively was the first company. You're a super smart dude. Super smart. I I still totally don't understand what you do. So I think it's good when you're describing it. If I was listening to this as an investor pitch rather than a brand pitch, I would want to know a lot more about your background and what you do, because clearly you understand the space really well. I'm not totally sure that I get exactly what you do, so you may want to sort of keep that back a little bit and be a little bit clearer, because it sounds rather complicated. The guys from Kikyo, I actually think that the concept around it is quite brilliant. I think collectors are an incredibly not only are they great brand advocates, but they're incredibly passionate about the most ridiculous things that they will talk about for hours. One thing I would be careful of is that I think you made the connection that because there's a ton of brands being sold and a ton of product on eBay that people want to talk about it. I don't think that correlates. I don't think people simply because I sell my kids' used shoes or video games that I want to sit and talk about it. But that being said, I think there are a bunch of categories that people do want to talk through and are really, really into. And the minutia that can go into is incredibly sophisticated. So I think it's really smart. It's a great idea. And in terms of Tapit, it seems like you guys have a really, really solid handle on the sector. I would have loved to know a little bit more about the metrics that you guys are running, but you ran out of time. But you know, if I was in the space, and we currently are looking at that stuff all the time, sounds like a great company. We'd certainly want to talk to you. So great job. Looks really good.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I think I also wasn't 100% certain what the points of differentiation are, but I do think the idea of being able to aggregate the social networks into one platform and to be able to get a centralized learning dashboard or source is a good thing and a need out there in the marketplace right now. But I would have liked also a little bit more clarity on how it all worked. Kikyo I really liked very much. I thought Kikyo identified a hole in the web that's not really there. Yes, there are websites you can go to for collectors, but to get a destination where people have a passion about brands and about products, are speaking about it, that self-selects your influencers. So you don't have to go out searching for them and looking for them on various other sites. They're really there, and it's a nice area to be able to kind of curate the people who are passionate about your brand. So I like that. There's a lot you can do with that. And Tapit, I think Tapit's in a very crowded marketplace. There are a lot of people who are selling mobile ads out there, but they do have some unique engagement optimization tools that might help differentiate them. And clearly transparency is good, because that's the one thing that we are pretty adamant about these days, that we want to work with networks that are pure, that have that transparency. So.
All right, so I'm here to explain what Adaptly does. It sounds like for a brand, it's there to make life a lot easier, right? So you have one essential message or call to action or piece of creative, and they'll run it across all of the different social networks. But I would actually say, again, a little bit of food for thought for the audience from a brand's perspective. The beauty of being able to work with all of these different social networks and partner with them is that your call to action and your message within each of them can be very authentic to that medium. And it just sounds like this could potentially water down that message. The Arby's example, I think the Facebook call to action, it just seemed like, you know, your friend likes Arby's. So not really maybe taking advantage of all of the inherent benefits of those platforms. So that would be my thought there.
Kicking us off on shopper marketing is Kevin from Receipt.
I'd like to introduce you guys to Bill. Last Christmas, Bill went out and purchased the latest and greatest 3D television for him and his family. A few weeks later, Best Buy sent him a survey, like many merchants do, asking Bill about his purchase experience and his other purchase habits. Well, Bill did the best that he could, but after about 10 questions, he kind of lost interest. He started just kind of clicking on random responses and scanning and doing the best that he could based on his memory, but submitted the survey. Well, the marketers at Best Buy were super excited because Bill actually filled out the survey. So they started to send Bill some targeted promotions and offers based on his responses. Well, the problem with that is that the data that they were operating off of wasn't entirely accurate. That the responses that Bill gave were based on his best recollection, but really didn't give them a clear perspective of who Bill was. So the targeted marketing that Bill was receiving was things that he wasn't really interested in, and in some cases were trying to sell him things that he already purchased with his TV. In addition, Best Buy is now wasting their efforts in trying to target to Bill by spending money on things that aren't going to get them a return. In this scenario, both Bill and Best Buy lose. And there's another party that's left completely out of this equation, the TV manufacturer. Brands happen to experience the consumer purchase story at extremely isolated points. In an attempt to connect purchases by a single consumer within your brand across a number of merchants requires a lot of effort, both on your part and usually on the consumer. As a result, many brands are left to only interact with those consumers who are passionate enough to interact on social media or willing to go to the trouble of entering codes on a loyalty website. So we believe that our purchasing habits tell a much more interesting and accurate story than our responses to surveys of this type. As James Frick says, don't tell me where your priorities are, show me where you spend your money and I'll tell you where they are. Or as Leonard said this morning, semantic analysis of our behavior is going to be a much more important part of our digital lives because it's based on our true and accurate behavior. So if the truth of the consumer purchase story is found within our purchasing habits, we think we have a simple solution. My name's Kevin Pefferly, and I'm the founder and CEO of Receipt. And we are going to help uncover the true story of consumer purchase, one purchase at a time. Our platform provides an easy solution for consumers to save and organize all of their receipts in one place. Through receipt aggregation, we can tell the true story of consumers everywhere. As a consumer, aggregating all of our receipts in one place helps us assemble this full and accurate consumer story in a way that's valuable to us, that we can use it for doing personal finance, tracking our expenses for work, or also doing our taxes. We may want to search if we want to return a sweater and we don't remember which store we bought it from, or if we wanted to recall what dish we ordered the last time we visited that fancy restaurant in Las Vegas. As a merchant or as a brand, receipts that are assembled in one place can help us understand our consumers in a much more useful way than we currently have access to. That we can find out if a consumer like Bill made related purchases when he bought his TV, or how often he purchases a particular item from our brand. So when we aggregate receipts, we think we can truly understand the customer honestly and objectively. So here's how Receipt works. You take a photo of a paper receipt with your smartphone or forward an email receipt over to us, and then when you log into our service on our website, you'll find that that receipt is there in an IRS acceptable photocopy. In addition, we are developing technology that will allow us to read the line item level data straight off of this paper receipt and then store it and connect it to other similar purchases. As a result, you end up with your entire purchase history in one place, and you can use it through a consumer API that we will offer to connect to other services where that history may be valuable to improve your personal finance or your tax reporting. However, in true Steve Jobs fashion, we do have one more thing. That ultimately, one of the struggles we had with Bill was that he had to do a lot of work to fill out the survey. So we're going to work with merchants as well to deliver receipts straight into this platform, giving us 100% accurate data. And this also creates links from the merchant to the consumer. So we believe that we have avoided the chicken and egg problem that many startups have by providing a valuable resource both for the consumer members and for the merchants and partners, but as they participate together, they will attract each other. And you can help. We're seeking our earliest partners to get to pilot this program as we get it off the ground. Thank you.
Next on stage, Nearby Systems.
Good news is that I'm the second to last presenter. I'm Brian Wargo, the CEO of Nearby Systems. The better news is that the way that we're shopping is undergone drastic amount of change. So obviously the internet has had a major impact amongst retailers. And the amount of profiling that they're able to do about us and the personalization of the websites has really dramatically changed the way that we shop. But unfortunately still, for most retailers, 93% of all transactions still happen in the brick and mortar store. Now today, because of the smartphone, things in retail are changing as well. Consumers are bringing the internet in with them. That means access to pricing information, access to social networks, and more information than we've ever had before, actually within the aisles of the store. So the next key to retail is really being able to engage these mobile shoppers and taking advantage of online content in the offline store. So the best news is that we're here to help. So Nearby Systems has developed a platform that really helps these brick and mortar stores engage and understand that mobile shopper when they're actually in the aisles of the stores themselves. So today we're providing solutions like analytics, location-based services, and even employee-based services that make the shopping experience better. And we're doing this all through partnership with Motorola Solutions, who's actually an investor and partner in the company. And the great news is that we could take advantage of existing infrastructure at these major big box retailers to develop and deliver these levels of service. So we can actually scale these platforms across multiple hundreds, if not thousands of locations. So when I'm talking about applications, I'm talking about things like, first off, getting a customer connected to a guest network and really understanding what they would do over Wi-Fi within the aisles. Maybe providing them product directions and navigation so they don't have to ask one of your salespeople where the product is at. Or maybe even being able to push a button on their phone that would automatically cue a sales associate to come provide them service in the aisle of the store that they're at. But ultimately, they want to get analytics from this data. It's important for the retailer to understand what customers are doing from an online standpoint in their store, as well as what they're doing physically walking through and navigating the aisles. So how do we do this? The first step is really getting shoppers to connect to that store Wi-Fi. The good news is in most of these big box locations, the 3G coverage is pretty spotty. So there's a real big need for high-speed Wi-Fi access. There's also a big movement in the carriers where they're starting to charge us to get access to data. And if that's not enough, we're actually seeing retailers who understand the power of getting customers connected, willing to offer incentives, whether that's loyalty points or maybe a free Starbucks coffee in the aisles. And now that we got this customer on our network, we can have them opt into the service, so everything is always opt-in based, and also make sure that we present the terms and conditions, notifying them that there's special use of this network and the fact that we are going to be using data for marketing purposes. And then we can finally get them to give us some specific information about themselves. Maybe that's an email address, maybe that's logging in over Facebook or Twitter. So now we can connect the unique ID of this cell phone to you as an individual. Now, once that user is in the store, retailers have a big need to drive powerful applications to kind of make the mobile shopping experience in the store rewarding. So we're seeing things, once again, are things like product navigation baked into product detail pages. So help me navigate the store. Interesting story, one of the retailers that we've been talking to says they lose $1 billion every week because consumers leave their stores unable to find their items. Then we're able to collect and analyze all this data. So understanding the types of websites that are important to people. Are people in my store going to Amazon.com? Are they going to my manufacturers and brand pages? It's really important to understand that. And also, how are they moving throughout my stores? And once we understand that information, the final piece of this is being able to authorize personalized content to them. So let's give them the offers, the content, the information that's relevant to them based on who they are, what their purchase history has been, and also where they're actually physically located within that store. So the value proposition really spans the whole segment. We help shoppers get a better experience. We enable retailers to increase basket size and provide better shopping experiences for their customers. And finally, we give the brand that magic holy grail, being able to influence at the point of decision. So when you think about Nearby Systems, the last piece of this is that digital marketing has changed, and it's changed pretty dramatically. But as we look over the last 10 years, locations become more and more relevant. And so finally, Nearby is bringing this location-based elements down to the specific aisle in the store that you're shopping. Thank you very much. One more.
And welcome to the stage our final company, Stanley from MunchOnMe.
How you guys doing out there? Raise your hand if you guys love to eat or drink. Right here, right? All right, awesome. That's like almost everyone here in the room. Well, I got great news for you guys today because MunchOnMe is going to help bring you closer to the food you love. MunchOnMe is a fun new way to find delicious dishes at great prices right here in your very own neighborhood. And at the same time, we're completely changing the way restaurants get discovered. Oops. So what is MunchOnMe? MunchOnMe is a food discovery network. We are a website that serves everyone that loves to eat and also restaurant owners looking to expand their marketing reach. Think of us as the guys that help restaurants connect their best meal experience directly to all the local foodies that want to try it out. Why are we interested in this space? Restaurants are spending about $6 billion a year on advertising. They really want to get the word out and get noticed. The problem is they're using a lot of traditional marketing, a lot of traditional advertising, and it's not that effective. When a restaurant runs a campaign with billboards or newspaper ads, none of it really guarantees how many people actually walk into the store. Some restaurants use chalkboards with today's specials on it. They put it on the sidewalk, and I can't think of another low-tech way to get less people to see something. So we've created an online solution that solves all these issues for restaurants, and we think it's a great platform to help restaurants highlight the best that they have to offer, and then we market that directly to all the local people that want to eat. So let me show you how it works. This is our website. We work with restaurants to feature one signature dish at a time, usually at a discount, and we offer it for about a week at a time. And we found out this formula works great to get new customers in to try new restaurants out. And the reason is because we work directly with the restaurants to define how you get that first experience to be really awesome. And then we use that to translate the first customer visit into repeat visits throughout the life of the business. And we've done this for all the restaurants that we work with. The restaurants love it because they get all the control. They have say in what a new customer tastes first. They have say in how big of a crowd they experience, when they come in. And as an added bonus, new customers come in, they'll usually buy a ton of other stuff at full price. So once again, we are not selling a discount here. We are selling the best meal experience a restaurant has to offer. So compare this with an experience a restaurant may have with some of the other services out there. Customers come in, when restaurants work with some of these other sites, customers come in from really far away. They have a generic coupon. It's $10 for $20 worth of credit. They have no idea what they're going to buy with it. Restaurants can't really plan anything either because they don't know what customers are going to buy with it. And people just come in, they end up just ordering whatever they feel like. It's really, a lot of the times, ends up to be a mediocre experience. Restaurants end up being stretched on capacity because they couldn't forecast ingredients. And people go home, they don't come back, and guess what they do at the end of the day? They leave a really bad Yelp review. I mean, this is terrible. This is screaming broken model. This is exactly why MunchOnMe is here today, to fix all of these issues with this model. We're doing it differently than any other site, and this is exactly why it works. Every restaurant we work with is asking to work with us again, and we're quickly expanding across the US because of all the demand. Right now, as I'm speaking, this very second, we got a team in New York setting up the market out there. We plan to be in 30 markets by this time next year. So, just to end off with a couple key takeaways. Deal commerce is very powerful if it's done right. One size fits all is simply the wrong approach. MunchOnMe, we've proven a tailored approach can really work. Restaurants want to work with us because we market them the right way. So come check us out. We want to be the promotion platform for restaurants. We'll be there next time you guys are hungry. And we make it really fun to figure out what to eat. Thanks a lot for listening to guys. Have a great night.
All right. Well, I just want to tell Stan Lee that I'm looking forward to the Avengers movie next year. So that's awesome. So, did I go over everybody? It's not good. I'll work backwards. So with MunchOnMe, I think that MunchOnMe, okay.
Somebody had to say it. Somebody had to say it.
I still don't quite understand why the consumer behavior wouldn't be different versus Groupon. I agree that part of the challenge on Groupon is I get a 50% off of a restaurant, and then tomorrow I can get 50% off the next restaurant, and then 50% off the next restaurant. So I don't see why that would be any different if I'm getting 50% off this dish here and then the next dish. So I'm not sure how that solves that issue. And in fact, as a consumer, why do I want to be limited to having one dish? Doesn't that limit your market overall to people who want that one dish at that one restaurant. So that's my comments there. Nearby, I mean, I agree that localization to the actual aisle is important, but isn't that Shopkick? I mean, it seems to me that I'm not quite clear what the differences are, other than maybe you're going to be getting some different big boxes than Shopkick is getting, so it's a viable option. And receipt, God bless you, because I am so disorganized with my receipts. I think that there's a real value there to any business traveler or someone who's constantly on the road and trying to keep up with that. So those are my comments.
Thanks. Look, I think I'll just go in the same order. So MunchOnMe, I think it's a great name because if the company doesn't work out, I know a bunch of people who'll buy the domain from you. Look, I actually think it's interesting. I think local driving traffic and lead generation, if you look 2 years ago, I was having this conversation with someone earlier, like the directories businesses 2 years ago, 3 years ago, could not be penetrated. People would sit in there and say they own two things that nobody could replicate. One was the relationship with Joe or Jane, who owns a restaurant, to walk in, take 20 bucks out of their till, and give it to them for an ad. That is an expensive process, and the number of salespeople to pull that off is incredibly complicated. And the good news about Groupon, love them or hate them, is they spent and lead blocked for everybody else. So now people in that small business market understand that yellow pages and directories are not their only alternative. And so they are looking now, where they weren't before, to find solutions. It's incredibly complicated to get small business customers, especially at that micro level. And I would encourage you to think a little bit more about the offer. I agree with Jeff. The offer to consumers has to be a little bit more understandable, other than I'm buying something and it's cheap. But frankly, in this market, I'm buying something and it's cheap, and I have some decision made for me about where I'm going to go, is not such a bad thing. But just like Groupon did in the early days, I think you'll have to layer. Nearby, I actually think one of the major frontiers that's left is the in-store experience. And I think that there's going to be a whole bunch of change coming in that. Although, to me, the one sort of Achilles heel in your model is this whole Wi-Fi problem. You simply are, I think it's going to be incredibly complicated behaviorally to get people to switch to Wi-Fi in store. I think it's difficult. I think people will continue to not want to do it. And then you've got the problem with the distraction. And this goes back to what I was saying earlier, which was this morning, behaviorally trying to plug and connect to somebody's virtual identity when they're in a physical identity, doing something physically, can be very complicated. You have to be very careful with the behaviors. So receipt, one thing I would say is that I would beg startups to stop misspelling words, because everyone says Google will be the death of our brains. It's startups. So all our kids are going to think that's how you spell receipt. Look, I think out of all the companies we've seen so far, to me, in my mind, you're the clear winner, but not for the reason that you presented. I think you guys are, and I happen to be what your target. I am the exact person who you target with this. I'm currently a Shoebox user, so I use shoebox.com and have a horrible experience with them. So I think what's interesting about what you're doing, you got to get better at the capture receipt. The photograph thing is going to be very difficult long term, especially for people who travel a lot. But where I thought you were going, and where I think you should go, is spending time aggregating those receipts into telling a story about people's lives. It's not just about finding stuff, because that should be simple. By the way, Shoebox does a really shitty job of it. So if you beat them on that alone, it's valuable. But telling that story based on my activity and what I do, and then building in the brand, the back end, I think is very valuable. So to me, if I had to pick a clear winner tonight, other than your horrible spelling, it would be you.
Awesome.
So I would echo what was said on MunchOnMe and Nearby, and for receipt, I think I was just a little surprised with the way you guys sort of took the pitch, because the first direction you were going was sort of a problem for merchants with like customer-focused marketing, and I just don't think that a merchant who isn't savvy enough to be able to tie someone's behavior back to who they are is going to plug in with a new application to have them do it for them. Like Best Buy is great at CRM, so I don't think that's really a fair example. I think it is a great value proposition for the user, for the consumer, but you have to, in addition to just loading up all of your receipts, and then having your information in one place, sort of where Leonard was going. It's like, okay, what's the payoff beyond being able to access that for my taxes? Can you make it a little more compelling, a little more interesting? Is there a social tie-in or something like that?
Sorry, I want to add one more point about receipt, because I really do think it's important. To me, the big win for a Best Buy, just to Dave's point, is currently there's no place when I go at point of sale for somebody to say, often retail, Apple will do it. They'll say, do you want me to email the receipt? I'm like, no, I don't want you to email the receipt, because that's of no value to me.
Hey,
but
Leonard, stand. We
I
want to hear
am
that.
standing. No, if
not standing.
If you, what would be amazing is to take in the real world environment what you do in most other services. So when I'm on an app in the iPad and it allows me to save to Evernote or pop it into Dropbox, the physical environment should be the same. I should be able at a point of sale to have you have done a deal with Best Buy to say, hey, do you want me to put this into your receipt account? And instantly it will pop in there. As well, Best Buy has that documentation for their own purposes to keep that breadcrumb trail. Those breadcrumbs of receipts are incredibly, incredibly important and valuable. So I think you got to rethink a little bit about how you do it and what the output is, but certainly you're on the right track.
All right.
Awesome. Well, so what we're going to do now, first, make sure you do your final vote, so we have our winner in one of this final category. The important thing to note is, so these 9 companies were actually selected out of over 200 companies that got nominated and then voted on. So while we're selecting a winner in each category, it's pretty freaking remarkable they got here and the competition they beat out. And I hope the quality stood up on stage. So thank you to everyone for listening. Thank you to the judges. We're going to gather for a couple minutes, and we'll have winners in like 3 minutes. So, okay, everyone, we have our winners in each category. So once again, just want to reinforce 200 companies, 9 guys here. It's amazing. So each of these companies are going to be here afterwards. So take them out, buy them drinks. They're poor startups. So make sure you take care of them and spend some time talking with them. The winners in each category. In our first category, the winner is Vide. So, in the second category is Kikyo. And in our third category, Receipt. So once again, go mob them, go talk to them, hang out, have fun, and thank you guys.